Hello and welcome back to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. We are going to continue with this episode. Quick question. After the, I don't think there is a lot left. I think there may be, I don't know, maybe 5 episodes till and we have completed the game. But what do you want to see after this? Because I have thought about maybe Inscription or Castle, one of the Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Some of those 2 games, or some others there could be. But if you haven't, I also thought about the Devil May Cry games. So yeah. Okay, we are going to continue now. Maybe now I don't think 5. Maybe 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I don't think it's as long as it should be. This is the defendant's lobby. All right, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma? For that matter, it almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth. No, you already figured it out. Who's the owner of 777 ID number? Is that it? Who the owner of the 777 card ID number? Is that it? That is? Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt regarding this ID record. If that number does belong to who you suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True? Not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling. 5 minutes, right, and Chief Prosecutor Sky will be found guilty. But she didn't do it. I figured you say as much. That's why I came here to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth. Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. Don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gaunt has on her, it's now. Court is now in session for the trial of Mrs. Lana Sky. The defendant is ready, Your Honor. The prosecutor is ready, Your Honor. Normally this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gaunt. He magically appears in front of the court. Alright. Morning, folks. How's everyone doing? Hey, Archie. Been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in work. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can stop that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say, the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard what she intended to say, I fear she should be granted her request. In the end, it should have everyone a lot of It should save everyone a lot of time. What's this all about, defendant? I just like to make a simple request and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like to put and immediately end this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21 of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana. Damn it. You can't. Your Honor, the defendant's claims does not change the defendant's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your service, but Lana, Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my rights to an attorney. The prosecutor may lack direct evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although this is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there is no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening. It appears that the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant.
Objection!
One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth, the prosecutor has not yet proven the defendant's guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, Worthy. I understand this is a difficult time for you, but why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gaunt. What? So, creating another fabricated to cover up your past mistake? Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal? Not everyone operates as you do, Worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. To whom? And the first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court to hear her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to I don't care what you think, Mr. Skye. The exposure of truth sometimes results in the tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gaunt? Worthy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by its reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation is I'm Lanos Licisa, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Dark of the Joe Dark killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this concerned the murder of Detective Goodman. It's an incident that was resolved 2 years ago. Really, all that's relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. Now then, Please testify about what happened about 2 years ago. The trip to yesterday's has finally begun. It's bound to lead the truth behind this trial. I was waiting in my little sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mrs. Edgeworth, what does this testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, defense may begin cross-examination. Two years ago, the defendant was detective at the police department, correct? Yes, she was second in command under the Deputy Chief of Police Gaunt. My sister, she was in the best detective ever. Was it okay? Yes, I remember. Deputy Chief Gaunt and Miss Sky to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. I pressed two buttons at the same time. X and L1. That's a man. Yes, Joe Dark. And he was a serial killer. Joe Dark was brought in for questioning on that day of the ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chances, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Dark proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Sky and Gunn's office. There was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. Then I saw him. Neil Marshall rescued me. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day there were two people present during Dark's questioning. Deputy Chief Damon Gaunt and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Almost forgot about Gaunt. Neil Marshall had just received a King of Prosecutors award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assumed that would also be why he was the first to run off Dark. When Dark grabbed me, I thought I was good as dead. And then the prosecutor Marshall came running in. I don't clearly remember what happened then, but I'll never forget what I saw in that instant. Can you tell us what about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Dark just then. The lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of year. There was a terrible storm going on and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch black in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then the lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image in my of the scene in my mind. I see. I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in the shots of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman. The victim? So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago? Yes, that was so scared about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I do a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? This picture the witness drew, I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if we added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. Okay, I'm gonna present it. Check. Here it is. Here is the picture, I think. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet, you wouldn't insist on denying its existence. Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that the prosecutor for that case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list from SL9 incident. Please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Turn it. Oh, there it is. Yes. What? Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it. That's the picture I do. Indeed, two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list, huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago is incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the markers here where they were torn apart from each other. So, you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half the evidence in the case will reach you. What? What? Oh, that's great. Order. But Mr. Sky, why did you draw a picture on this back of such an important list? Because that was Detective Goodman handed me in the questioning room, Your Honor. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor, are you alright, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of a drawing on that back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Is something wrong? Do we even have to ask? So, Your Honor, there is indeed something drawn on the back of my list. It's the thing. That's that thing. That thing was dancing in the evidence room. Clearly, this act of vandalism is the work of the chief of detectives. I guess he was out of scrap paper. Okay, maybe I should have read that. A list of SL9 incidents, half of it, okay. Okay, what does this mean? I guess this is the blue badger thing. Okay, it's a sideways picture. So if I just change my head sideways, what does it look like? I think I'm just stupid now. Very well, witness. Will you please testify about these two men you do 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. Okay, I'm just... it's been 20 minutes now of recording, so yeah. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be really thinking about something when she was looking at the picture. This is the picture I do 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright, all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image into your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Dark about the murder. Prosecutor Nima. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Emma's picture. This picture I do 2 years ago. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I do it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time the investigation team was reorganizing. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Grant and Lana Skye. 2 and 3 days later, the memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why the picture painted is all black? The flash of lightning was so bright that all I could see were shadows. So at the time you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who had come to rescue you? No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor. Doc had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No, I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture the girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure? I'm sorry asking so many times, but are you sure you do exactly what you saw? Of course. This is exactly what. Of course, this is the exact scene. It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detective. Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? I'm sorry, my eye had a problem. No, of course not. I better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. I do this picture before I heard anything from the detective, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright? Is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Well, that's strange. She claimed this is exactly what the scene was imprinted on her mind, and yet there's clearly a contradiction here. I'm gonna save, because I don't wanna do it again, so. Okay, Why would that be that? I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness to contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out where the contradiction was. What part? Okay, this part. I don't know why I would. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Okay, why? Stabbed in the back, died from a puncture in the heart and lung. A knife tip was found in the wound. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. Even I don't have that don't have to look closely to see that, Mr. Wright. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? Its tip is broken too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was a conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Dark was the murderer. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. And where, pray tell, could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound in the back. And the victim was only stabbed once. Then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand? Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right, but what does this mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the body. The only possible explanation is the witness memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way of explanation this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is one explanation. Have you forgotten already? About a little something called falsifying evidence? You're trading on thin ice, right? All I'm saying is that this broken knife tip might be the piece of the evidence that was forged. You can't deny the possibility. No. Order. Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the event that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors Award at the ceremony, Neil Martian questioned Joe Dark along with Damon Gaunt. During his questioning, Joe Dark fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Dark. It is my belief that somewhere in the story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are your chances of there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Dog. Could it have been one? There is another one. If the witness is adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by simply observation error. Mr. Wright? In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume then that you have some information about the other broken knife. If so, please, free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder, and there were only one way. Only one way, you say? I'm sorry, my laptop just opened up randomly. Take a look at this here. The real murder weapon. The answer lies in the past, 2 years in the past. Right here inside the picture. This is the picture of the award ceremony. What is it, Miss Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award prosecutor marshal is holding. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife that in the dark drawing was not Joe Dark's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in likelihood from this award. Order. Neil Marshall was award king of prosecutor of that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and knife. When he chased after Joe Dark, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in this dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edgeworth? Because the King of Prosecutor Award's knife was the murder weapon. If the King Prosecutor Award was the knife was a murder weapon, then the murder and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright was been a bit too eager to jump to conclusion. Wait, I remember now. I remember. What? Witness? Mr. Edgeworth? What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list. The one with that picture scribbled on the back. I knew it. This picture, I'm the one who do it. What? You do that one? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I do this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget. It must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness testimony. Would you please tell us what you would call Mr. Sky? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mixed up and now the blue badger. This should be interesting. When I saw the man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed towards both of them. I think I knocked away the knife with the knife. Yes, then there was another flash of lightning, and that when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I sure saw him. Saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual. Try impossible. The chief of detective hasn't even designed it until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin cross-examination. Stop it, please. Don't pursue this any further. Oh God. Dana? What's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this. I already confessed to this crime. Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We already commenced this far. We already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Belly, please detain the defendant. It seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Emma recollection. When I saw that man raise his knife. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Dark? Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office report. So then you? I panicked to rush towards both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Dark was the one holding the knife. But as we just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When the Dark guy knocked me down, all I could think was I got help that other person. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Who do you mean you think? It all happened so fast and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did is all kind of a blur. Mrs. Sky was almost killed before she was witness to a murder about to take place. With so much happening in a matter of seconds, a little desolation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl, so then what happened next? Just then there was another flash of lightning. That's when I saw the blue badger. Are you sure about this? Of course, I see. When I do a picture of him there. But it was Chief of Detective who thought up this design. Thought up this hideous beast. And what is this? The blue badge didn't exist 2 years ago. This is quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh brother, just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dance? He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. Blue badger existed 2 years ago, so what exactly did Emma see? I gather all the evidence. All that's left now is to put the piece. I forgot to ask. His shadow. You mean you didn't actually see his face with the winning smile at all? That's right, but still I remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must have been mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh, and I suppose you have an explanation? If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is the Blue Badger really? The Blue Badger hadn't even been dreamt up by when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the Blue Badger. Something it is now sitting in this very room, Mr. Wright. In this room. Very well, Mr. Wright. What is the witness saw in that instant? Please show me. Okay. Blue Badger look-alike. The mysterious Blue Badger was in fact this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jaw. Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the Blue Badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain yawl. However, what if you change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? If I got to show him? Look. Oh god. Whoop. We'll take left. This should be it. Oh god, thank me. Well, this is a miracle, or what? No one can possibly deny that Yaw resembles the Blue Badger. I hated this. No. It can't be. Order. The defense has proven his claim. This mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoy Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that the Blue Badger thing was actually just a jaw. Does that mean does it change? I'm afraid that's where you are wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see? This changes everything. Indeed. Very well done. Please tell us. What's different now? Evidence of the final found of sheep. Allow me to take these in turn. The moment of the murder, the witness they saw this jaw at a very specific angle, I might add, Mr. Wright. Well, yes, well, knowing this, where could she have seen this jaw? Where? The location of this jaw is shown in a picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on the shelf, the shelf in the office of Damon Gaunt. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes? And it is these two factors that reveal what actually transpired. You see? The struggle between Dark and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room in Chief Khan's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gaunt's to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is there were a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is where Lana tried to stop the trial. So it's too late to not quite now. Please recall the witness testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife. In the next instant, the jaw was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jaw flying? That would have been the impact of a man made when he knocked into the wall. Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked into the jaw directly of the shelf in the jaw was sitting on, what would he have hit? A suit of armor holding a very sharp and dangerous looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to be Neil Marshall wielding the King Prosecutor's trophy. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking. Yes, there's no other possibility, of course, actually transpired in this room. Another possibility? Of course, the perpetrator would have had no idea but nevertheless. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If the event took place as the defense theorized, then the outcome is obvious. In that moment, assuming that man Malachi knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall, you mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No. I never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life. And then proved so with her own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Mrs. Sky, but given this circumstance, Joe Dock murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you are talking about. If you hope to have anyone believing your insane allegation, I'm afraid you're going to have proof about. Tell me, do you have any conclusive evidence proves that my sister killed Nima? Evidence? Oh, I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, I certainly would be difficult to prove this with this. If we don't have evidence, then how to rely on testimony? I'm afraid that I won't work in this case. Both parties involved. The incidents are dead. Where certainly can I get the dead people to testify? This has to be a wild goose. Touché, Mrs. Sky. Of course. That only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or for worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. In a manner or another, that's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does a message exist? I got to think to the court record. The real murderer's name is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession, Mr. Wright. Will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? I do not mistake, Mrs. Do not be mistaken, Mrs. Sky. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek. The truth. No matter how painful it may be. Now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys a message from the deceased. The message from the deceased. Right. Now then, this is message from the judge. I thought it was it. It would have been a writing form that only logical. That be only. Better careful, you might wind up deceased yourself. Let's try this again. Now then, Mr. Wright, please. Okay, that was so much fun. Check it. The dark red stain must be blood traces from the incident 2 years ago. Chief Garnton office still has lines remaining on it. This is that. The blue badge from before, right? Oh, he's going to speak the killer's name. If that could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this, just a jar. A matches from what was left here on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is one. It's a line drawn in blood. So what are you saying? Are these dots where one lines? Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used a few previous moments left to him to leave the behind a message. Once that, someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these twin points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Is that right? What kind of message did the victim leave us? Your Honor? I believe the blood stain will appear. Got to connect it. His murder name. Okay. Oh, okay. No. What? I didn't mean to. I didn't know that. Shit. Okay. Whoop. 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 Emma. The defense attorney duty to prove their client's innocent. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Lana. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. Emma. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Shit, I'm gonna save because I now have only one life left. So this is okay. Of all people, she may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Sky. See, Worthy, I can't say I didn't warn you. Chief Gaunt, do you understand the implication of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Doc was sentenced to death. He was convinced because his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, Worthy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. Shit. But Joe Doc really was a serial murder, that's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know where we aren't defense at your... What? We are merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter. Even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery, ultimately the responsibility falls on the prosecutors in the charge. Despite what anyone may say, the fact cannot be denied. What's going on in the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his order? The gavel pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. To be continued. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a nice day. Like, subscribe, all that. I'm gonna go edit this video now. So yeah. I hope you had a great day and bye.